Welcome to the second part of the masterclass on how to amplify your marketing strategy with AI. In the first part, we covered high-level marketing and competitive strategy, as well as segment-specific AI automation within the marketing department. Today, we'll discuss lead generation, new marketing metrics, operational automation, and content creation. My name is Robert van der Zwart, and I'm a member of EO Netherlands, and I'm joined today with Mike Schwarz again from EO Vancouver. Jenna Tran will help out to moderate the questions, and also Edward Brink, he's sitting behind the screen here, also moderating the questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand, unmute yourself, turn on your video if you haven't already, and ask the question. You can also post your question in the chat so we can read it out. Mike, welcome again.
Good to see you, Robert. And just some quick housekeeping there. I think for questions, what I was proposing with Jeanette is that you can post your question in the chat. She will coordinate with you, and then she can interject on your behalf. Might be a bit easier. Otherwise, we'll have random interruptions coming in. Yeah. I'm doing great. I'm excited. It's just nonstop learning. The agenda, all the things that I wanted to cover today just keep changing based on the most recent wins. It feels like Christmas morning every day I play with the latest AI tools. Keeps changing.
So Mike, where do we start with?
Well, I mean, I got a laundry list of just fun things that I think are fairly new that a lot of people won't have seen before. And then I got some classic stuff to go a bit deeper in. I mean, one thing I wanted to bring up that my team just recently got access to and they've been seeing a lot of value with is, first of all, show of hands, how many of you here are spending money on Google Ads? Let's see some hands. I would venture to say probably 70% of small businesses and entrepreneurs are getting traffic from Google Ads. Because it's so important, I want to go a bit deeper into Google to start. Now, there's a new thing that just came out, well, new in the last 2-3 months. So that's kind of old, I guess, for AI, but new for the world, is using the AI models to analyze your media buying and give you feedback directly through these MCP server connections. Now, these MCP server connections, if you're on, say, ChatGPT, you have to go into custom connectors and then do a custom connection to Google Ads or Meta Ads. And it's not quite as good yet. There were some issues. It was announced about 3 months ago, but there was bugs and we kept testing it. It wasn't working very well. So what the media buying team here at MyZone has been doing is they actually left the ChatGPT environment. They're doing it from Claude. The Claude MCP connector over to Google Ads, for example, is apparently much more robust. I don't personally do this work, but I've been told now that they will not optimize Google Ads without an MCP server connection and Claude helping them with their analysis. So it recently just got fixed for ChatGPT. I'm not sure if ChatGPT can keep up with Claude's efficiency there with MCP, but so now I'll just show you what it looks like in my ChatGPT account. Like when you're doing MCP connectors with ChatGPT, you have to be using the deep research to tap into those. You can't do the company knowledge one. And there should be a custom connector through here. Google Ads. And that is a custom MCP connector that somebody on our team set up for us. And again, this wasn't something that I have personally been using, but I wanted to share that with you so that if you are analyzing your Google Ads and you're doing them manually, or sometimes people have been exporting CSV files and bringing that data into ChatGPT and having these conversations, I'm just told it's way, way better to do that deep research with MCP. So that's the first thing I wanted to share. Anybody here had success with MCP and Google Ads auditing? Show of hands. Okay, sweet. So it was new for you guys. You never know. When it's like 2 months old, it's like, is that new? But yes, very important. Too, if you have questions about each topic as we go through them, feel free to post them, and then Jeanette can help intervene there. So I'm not sure if you want me to go deeper than that on that topic, Robert, but
well, we can save it for, well, not for less, but let's work our way through the proposed agenda. So the first thing was on the list is basically how AI can help with lead generation and enrichment automation.
Yeah, so this is one I've talked about in the past, but it is super important for anybody who's doing lead generation and has volume. And with volume, first of all, show of hands, how many of you here, your core measurement of success with paid media is lead generation? Show of hands. And how many of you are more on the e-commerce side? Sure, let's see those hands. Okay, it looks like we're mainly a lead gen team. And that's usually, I find EO in general is usually about 70, 80% lead gen, and the rest is sort of e-com, at least from the media buying side. And so this is something that we see usually about a 20 to 40% decrease in cost per acquisition on Google ad campaigns for clients who are not doing this beforehand. So it's a significant jump. It's well worth the investment, but this only works if you have volume. And the minimum volume that you need to pull this off is around 15 to 20 sales qualified leads per month. If you're at that level, then this will work for you. If you're coming in less, it won't, because the machine learning from Google or Meta's AI needs X amount of volume for their algorithm to be able to get out of that learning stage and optimize for this. So what most people do with Google Ads is they will drive traffic to their website. First of all, I don't recommend you do that. You should drive it to a landing page that's hyper customized and personalized for that specific keyword. You'll get a higher quality score and a lower cost per click with that one change. But that's not AI, so we'll move past that. But then what people normally do is they will put the primary conversion pixel after somebody has completed the form. And this can be good if you ask a whole bunch of qualifying questions in your form. But the challenge is, if you do ask a bunch of qualifying questions, you'll notice that your conversion rate starts to drop. Right? People get annoyed if there's way too many questions. So best practice is to leave the questions to an absolute minimum. You can actually do this. We've tested this out, just collecting the email address. That's all you need. You can say, enter your email address, and then the lead enrichment agent takes off from there. And it goes out and does a bunch of research. It can tell you, it can crawl through the client's website based on their domain name. If it's business, 99% of people are entering business emails. You get the domain of the website, you can crawl through the website. You can go to AI lead enrichment services like Clay and others to get all sorts of information, like have they raised money, how many employees do they have, what's their Wikipedia page, who's their founder, what are their core values. You can get that all. And so
how about, sorry to interrupt you, Mike. How about to connect to other social media platforms like Facebook, like Instagram?
absolutely, you can crawl through their socials, you can see what they're posting about, you can see what they're saying on their LinkedIn. Everything that's on the web related to that company is accessible, and you can enrich it. So this is helpful for a sales rep when a lead comes in and they can see all this information and even prepare the brief so that the sales rep can reach out and just be ready for the call. But from an AI optimization standpoint, this is important because you really need to understand the difference between separate your leads into lead stages. So when a lead first comes in, it's an unqualified lead or a UQL. And then once you've had the marketing team look at it and say, oh, that's, the marketing team thinks it's good, typically it moves to what's called an MQL. Then the sales team will look at it and say, is that qualified from a sales perspective? Is this somebody want to pitch? They would call that an SQL. And then the final one is, have they become a client? Now, these stages are important, and you can put numbers in between them. Like you can have MQL 1, 2, or SQL 1, 2, just sort of different degrees of qualifying, depending on how much volume you have and how detailed you want to get. But again, 90+% of companies where I audit their Google ads, they're simply putting the conversion tracking pixel after the form is submitted, and that is the UQL. And so best practice using AI now is that you collect very limited data, just enough that you need so that your enrichment agent can go out and get all the additional data that you want. Then you fill in all that additional data, you have AI analyze it, and you have a series of rules with that AI. And based on that, it can give a score to your lead. And then dynamically, it can feed back data over to Google Ads and let it know, was this a good lead? Was it a bad lead? And that one difference, like if you draw a circle and said this circle is all of the leads that are coming through your forms. This is the UQL circle. The MQL circle is usually 20 to 40% less people will make it to the MQL stage. So if you are able to have AI filter those people out and only report back that smaller, more targeted circle as a conversion to Google, then Google will stop optimizing for UQLs and will start optimizing for MQLs. And you can continue this. You can get more and more granular, but you can only move deeper down that funnel with volume. So if you have more than 15 leads at this stage, like say you've got 25 leads at this stage, you can optimize then for an even deeper stage of the funnel. As long as you have a minimum of 15 leads at that stage, you can keep going deeper and deeper. And again, the benefits we're seeing from companies that move from UQL optimization to dynamic enriched MQL or SQL optimization is usually about a 20 to 40% decrease in cost on their cost per acquisition from Google Ads. So it's one I've said before. I talked about this last year. Talk about it again because it is a big mover on, if you're spending 10 grand a month, you'll save $2,000 to $4,000 a month on your ads with that one change.
Can we also call it this new KPIs or new metrics? Can we use them as KPIs?
Well, yeah, your KPIs are still
Let me rephrase it. Are these new KPIs? Are these new kids on the block for KPI development?
Honestly, within agency world, this is nothing new. UQL, MQL, SQL agencies know, but like the beauty of AI and what sucks for those of us who run marketing agencies is you can take more and more of these things in-house, right? It gets easier and easier to do these things and understand this. So this is a sophisticated tool that agencies have been doing for years, not the AI lead enrichment and the automatically qualifying people. It used to be that a marketing person would literally have to look at the lead and say, ooh, that's a good lead or not. It was a manual process. And then they would flag them as MQLs, just like the sales rep would get the lead and say, is this an opportunity? When they dragged it into their opportunities section and say salesforce.com, that manual step would then trigger the data signal back to Google. The difference now with AI is that we can hop through these steps automatically without involving a sales rep. And those of you who have asked sales reps to try to qualify leads properly and on a timely basis will know that that usually doesn't happen, right? There's always a delay. So if you get AI to do it, so the KPIs haven't changed. Okay. It's more about the automatic process to move them through those in real time. So these UQL, MQL, SQL is nothing new in digital marketing world. It's the automatic AI qualification of that process that's new.
Can you also use them for early detection when something's going wrong? Because you can basically do on-the-spot monitoring.
Yeah, so absolutely. Now, all of our marketing work that we do, we have automated reporting into our Slack channels. We used to, if you've been waiting in the past for a monthly report that comes from a marketing agency or from your team, like those days are also gone. We moved to real-time optimization based on reports and alerts. So for example, we have a weekly report for all of our clients. It goes into a dedicated Slack channel that tells us what their spend was this week versus last week, this month versus last month, this month this year versus the same month last year, and shows all of those trends. That's just a standard automated weekly report. And it says, your cost per MQL was 143. It's up 7% from last week, but down 14% from last year. That kind of stuff should all be automated. We also have an automated alerts channel that if it notices something that falls outside of a range of expectation, like say your cost per lead for your business is supposed to be sub $300 and suddenly it hops above that, you can have it send alerts. But this is not AI. This is just robotic process automation, not even intelligent process automation. Like if this happens, then do this on Slack or Teams, or send me an email, send me a text. So automated reporting is great. I guess the AI enhancement of that is you can have more broad-based analysis of your performance and say, analyze my metrics this month, this year versus last month, last year, and give me some advice on how is my Black Friday, Cyber Monday promotion going, and give me some tips and suggestions. And having that agent also connecting via MCP to your media buying platform to automate that analysis would be a powerful next step. So I don't think the KPIs have changed. It's just sort of the way that we're working through them automatically. That's the key part that has changed for me.
But it's really important information to manage also your sales force.
It's huge. Yeah. Yeah.
Who
So we had some questions coming through.
Yeah.
We just have a hand up there, Christine.
Christine.
Sorry, that was a mistake. My apologies.
Oh, no worries. We get all the AI hand signals. You can do this awesome one now if you want to throw some love. Oh, it's not working.
It doesn't work.
Oh, you got the AI hand gestures turned off, Robert.
Of course. Do you have any practical examples from teams that are already using these systems?
I mean, yeah, I'd say almost every single one of my clients is using these systems. So, I mean, I can give you examples across 50 use cases. The one thing, well, I'd say it's where it's not working is when you have high value, low volume leads, it doesn't work. You can't get enough volume that AI knows what to do with it. And but yeah, specific use case. I mean, this works for any business. I mean, without giving away proprietary data. I mean, let's just pick a random company. If somebody want to volunteer as a company, and I can sort of walk through that specific example for a sample business right here. We want a practical example. Like somebody here paying money to drive leads right now through Google Ads, and we can give a specific example of the adjustments that we would make here.
Let's go to the next step.
Volunteers?
There's one.
You can, I just put in the chat my domain if you want to use it.
Okay, so Dominic, what type of leads are you collecting?
We're a home service company, so fencing, so like fencing around your yard. Ad spend is about 15,000 a month on average.
Got it. And what percentage of leads that come in would you say you disqualify and say they're not good?
20%.
20%. And
Yeah.
and do you have the team manually reviewing those leads and deciding if they're good or not?
Some of them they come in and honestly okay, so I'll explain. Within 20%, it's probably really only about 5% that are truly not good. The other 15% are literally just not responsive. As wild as that is, they just never. So the lead comes in, say to a contact sheet. Obviously, if a phone call, we pick up almost 17 hours a day. So pretty much any hours anybody around here is going to be awake. But within the leads that come in through a contact sheet, people just become unresponsive, even if you call them almost immediately.
And do you do your media buying in-house with your team, or do you have an agency?
We do. I've used agencies. To be honest with you, when I was using agencies, my cost of acquisition was around $370 a piece. Got rid of that, changed a lot of the keywords, negative keywords, added those, and now our cost of acquisition is around 120.
Beautiful. And do you know where your primary conversion pixel is? Like, where do you reward Google and say you've done a good job? Is it after they just fill out the contact you form?
Contact form, and also when they click on the phone numbers. And
yeah,
there's one more that I cannot remember off the top of my head right now.
So that is common. Like 90% of people have it set up that way. And you know that big drop in cost per acquisition that you had from agency to in-house to cleaning things up, what you can see an equivalent, probably 15-20% jump based on the numbers that you told me. If you switch, instead of reporting, because Google AI works on reward signals. So when you tell Google that somebody has gone here, filled out the form, hit submit, yay, we got a conversion. My cost per conversion was $140 this month. Okay. But you're telling them like there's layers of inner circles of more and more qualified people. My guess is you're probably like somewhere between 5 and 15% of people that fill out the form will end up becoming clients. Might even be as low as 2%, right? And so those are consecutive circles that get tighter and tighter until you have a deal. And so within Google, the reward signal that you point back to Google's AI to tell them, hey, you did a good job, get me more of that. Right now, you have it on the most outer band. And so you can use AI. I mean, you can use humans to manually report that in, but you can also have AI now that can enrich those leads. If it's B to C, it's a bit harder to enrich. If you're doing B to B leads, there's a ton of enrichment that you can do behind it.
Okay.
Right. But dynamically having Google know the difference between a UQL and an MQL 1 and 2 and an SQL 1 and 2 and just getting that so that you report the reward signal. Because what people mistake with Google Ads is they think that, well, it's Google is optimizing based on keywords and search terms, but they're not. That's the base layer. That's the old school. What they're actually optimizing for is the data signals behind the users that are getting those reward signals sent back. So what is the difference between people that fill out the form here and people that fill out the form here? They're going to have very different data signals. They might have different budgets. They might have different home ownership or financial status or employment, or they might own their Netflix account, or they might be a Republican or a Democrat. There's going to be all sorts of differences to those people that end up converting for you, right? And so because the data signals behind those different layers in that bucket are very different, if you tell Google to optimize for a different layer dynamically, it will start to optimize. It'll say, okay, they're all searching for the same keyword, like fencing company in city name or what have you. But it analyzes all the different data signals behind it and says, what is the probability of this person becoming an SQL or not, or even you can opt to do this for clients. So yeah, that's sort of the thinking, and that's most people. Don't feel bad thinking you're optimizing for UQLs. Like 90+% of companies I look at are optimizing for UQLs, and the magic happens when you realize there's deep data signals behind the different customer types. And if you report the correct thing back to Google, it will now analyze the difference between the traffic I've been sending has certain data signals and the traffic that I'm getting rewarded for will have different data signals. I'm going to hunt for these people amid that. I'm not just going to do it based on the keyword.
Hey, Mike. So Chad has a question where total systems you were discussing means subscriptions to what? Like Apollo, Clay, others?
I mean, we do this enrichment, and we can share this playbook in the group here. So we use a Google spreadsheet because it works really well with API connections to agents, and then the agent that we use is, I believe it's either N8N or make.com, and Clay AI for the enrichment. And so as the lead comes in from the form, it goes to the Google spreadsheet, it kicks off our N8N agent who does the enrichment, brings all the additional data feeds back. Then another agent will analyze the enriched data and decide, is this a UQL, is this an MQL, is this an SQL? So we built that ourselves with Google spreadsheet and either N8N or make.com. And we sometimes enrich that data with Clay. But you can also just enrich it by having it go out onto the web and checking social media, checking their website. You don't have to pay for data enrichment if you don't want to. Yeah, great question, and I should have shared that. Thanks, Chad. And all of these things, like they may, if you've never played with them, they may sound technical, confusing. I'm happy to share a playbook. If you have somebody who's in-house, who's bright, who's technically savvy, they could figure this stuff out fairly quick. You don't need to be.
Shouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah.
But there's one more question. And if there isn't, we can jump to the next.
Yeah, UQL stands for unqualified lead. MQL stands for marketing qualified lead. SQL stands for sales qualified lead. And this is the old school thing that agencies have always used. It just means that the marketing team or your agency has reviewed the lead and they think it's good. And then did the sales team look at it and think it's good? But if you just take out what is all the qualifying criteria in the salesperson's head that says this is a good lead or not? You know, in the fantastic fence situation, it's going to be, do they have the budget? Are they asking for products that we even offer? Are they in the right geographic area? You know, there's going to be certain things like that. For some businesses, though, especially on the B2B lead gen, there'll be a whole bunch of other signals, like how many employees do they have? What's their annual revenue count? Things like that.
But So ultimately, we would like to generate these leads to get into our funnel, and it starts also with advertising. How do we get to creative automation from ads and content?
So the ad creative journey has been an interesting one. I would say we are 70%, 80% there with ad creative automation. And we took a big step forward recently with Nano Banana. So show of hands if you've played around with Nano Banana Pro. Raise your hands.
I did.
So on the ad creative side, that's probably the biggest change in the last, what has it been, a month now since Gemini 3 came out from Google? And Nano Banana Pro is really changing the game. So one of the most important things with ad creative is A/B testing, especially now. Like if you're working off of Meta, Meta is almost all AI optimization. Now, it used to have to do super hyper segmented ad strategies within Meta and Google. And now Meta, what it responds best to is target a broad audience, let AI do the learning, just like what we talked about, figure out what's actually working for you with those intelligent conversion signals, and it will just do the optimization for you. And it leaves very little for agencies to do on the Meta side. The best thing that you can do to optimize for Meta is now to optimize your landing page and to optimize your ad creative. Those are the two heaviest lifting tasks. The rest should be fairly automated with AI. And on the ad creative, the best thing you can do is just keep cycling through slight new variants of your ads constantly. And the cost of doing that has dropped dramatically. And you can bring a lot of this in-house. I'll show you like the most simple thing that you can do is you can have an ad creative that works. You take the ad creative, you put it into Gemini, and you have it come up with a different variant of that. And then you put that up into rotation. And this, like before, if you wanted to create a variant of an ad creative, you'd have to go through design departments, creative departments, or your agency and spending hundreds of dollars or more. And now you can do that in, an in-house person can do this in 5 minutes, right? So that's the big change, and it's having conversation. So first, we would have the conversation typically with a custom GPT in ChatGPT that's acting as our ad creative expert. And I guess like we should probably have a whole section to talk about what are the different experts you want to build within your marketing, your in-house marketing team, so that you don't have to hire a bunch of expensive people. Because here I'm talking about you'll have an ad creative expert GPT, just like you should have a conversion rate optimization expert GPT, just like you should have a media buying optimization GPT that's doing those MCP connectors. So you want to start to build profiles and personas of these like GPTs that you can go to for advice. For example, that your ad creative GPT will know everything about who's your target audience, your ICP, your ideal customer profile. It should know everything about what you're trying to accomplish from a marketing standpoint, so that when you take your ad creative and say, hey, here's our existing approach for ad. This is our call to action. This is our slogan. This is our tagline. This is the imagery that we're using. This is a screenshot. Can you come up with creative out-of-the-box strategies that I can adjust so that I can A/B test new creatives on Meta or Google or what have you? And then, so you're going to work through the strategic side first with a GPT that is trained as your ad creative expert, right? So there's going to be this back and forth strategic conversation with AI. And once you've agreed...
How do I train it? Sorry to interrupt you. How do I train it?
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example here specifically. We'll train a little GPT marketing advisor for you here in a second and show you that. And so, yeah, once it's trained up and it gives you the strategy, then you're going to say, okay, now I want you to create a prompt that I can use in Nano Banana image gen model that will adjust the existing ad creative into this new strategy. You can upload your logo, you can upload your brand identity, you can upload your existing ad creative, all as context. It'll come up with that prompt. Then you can go over to gemini.google.com, click the Nano Banana thing, paste in that prompt, upload your existing assets, like your style guides, your existing imagery. So I usually do the strategy side with my GPT in ChatGPT to figure out what I want to change, what's going to resonate potentially that I want to test out. And then I bring it over to Nano Banana and I can very quickly swap out image ads. And you'd be surprised if back to this fantastic fence idea, It might be that you just change one word within your call to action and you watch your click-through rate go up 15%. It might be that you just change the color of a button, or that you swap out an image in the background, or you make something in your background in the image just slightly modified, and watch your click-through rates jump up. And if your click-through rate goes up, say 20%, your typical cost per acquisition will drop 20% as well. So it's worth it, right? People used to spend a fortune creating creative for A/B testing, and now because the cost of creative is dropping like a rock, you can spin these things up. And that's usually the precursor also for video. Now, video is a lot more work and time, and we've got VO3 and 11 Labs and a bunch of fun things we can do on the video automation side. But first, you want to figure out what are the concepts that are really resonating with your audience, right? Nail that through imagery, and then the next step would be, okay, now convert your most popular images into video. And I think of when you're doing your testing, you want to first try different versions of copy, try different versions of buttons, try different images, swap them out, and then start to have little children between these variants, right? Who's the winner? And then the winner will have offspring, and then the offspring will have children, and you just kind of keep evolving your way through that. But it's not uncommon to start out with was it Dominic that was speaking earlier? Like, you might find out that you have a 1% click-through rate on your ads on Meta, and you go through this iterative cycle of testing. At the end of the month, suddenly you're at a 2.6% click-through rate, and your cost of media dropped by 160%.
No, I completely understand the A/B testing, but this morning there was a newspaper clipping in the Dutch newspapers that McDonald's is retracting their commercials because they got so much negative feedback because it was AI generated, and same happened with Coca-Cola. And the promise that Google makes with Nano Banana is that there's a consistency in characters, and there's a consistency in logos and things that but when I tried, somehow there's minute differences. And if you want to create a movie out of it, or you would like to use it in a different way, to me, it doesn't work yet. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, I think the reason McDonald's got in trouble is because it's McDonald's. People love to hate on McDonald's, and there is a counter-culture sort of movement against AI that you do need to watch out for. I haven't seen it too big yet, but I've been predicting it for a while. I'm calling it it'll be like the AI Luddite movement. It will happen. It's sort of brewing right now, and you have to watch out for that. There's a lot of people that are upset with AI right now, especially in the creative fields, or people that have lost their jobs to AI. And there's a grassroots movement where that tension is building, and at some point it will hit a tipping point. And I do expect, unfortunately, that there will be data centers that are blown up, and there will be like that 1% encampment in NYC, like we saw. There's going to be a bunch of this stuff rising. And do you want to be a brand that's going out there and exposing yourself to that? It really depends on who you're targeting and how closely you are aligned to that movement. But yeah, it's something that you need to be aware of and watch out for. I think McDonald's got attacked there because they were saying it was it was not the most wonderful time of the year. And it wasn't just the AI. It was like a lot of people love Christmas, and they were like, they were slagging on
it was the entire copy.
Yeah, the whole strategy was questionable. But here's a couple things. First of all, is if they can't tell that it's AI, you're fine, right? So what I say to clients for ad creative and AI is, first of all, if you're not sure, like, do it in mobile. It's way harder to tell if it's AI on mobile. You can restrict your testing to mobile only. And do it in a way, like, if you can't tell the difference, then you're probably fine. But if it's done in video and you're like, that's clearly AI, I'm like, make it obviously AI. Don't use AI to just refine a generic thing and swap out a human, but like have a unicorn fly across the screen and do crazy stuff. Like, that's my thing, is don't try to hide the AI, because it's the same thing I say with communication. Like, if you're sending emails to people and you can clearly see it's written with AI, but it looks bad, right? So We have a rule internally, like if you can see that it's done with AI, disclose. Like, hey, it was great to meet with you, Robert. Here's the AI summary of everything we talked about, block of text here, and then we go back to the human chat below. Try not to be caught up with misrepresenting yourself, like, oh, we did this without AI, and then someone figures it out. Like, that's my opinion. Is just be clear that's either AI or not, and be cautious of that groundswell movement that is building, and understand how close your brand is to it. Like for me, I market to entrepreneurs. I think most entrepreneurs are not concerned about these things, but certain audiences will be much more sensitive to that backlash.
Hey, Mike, just a quick question from Robert is what about e-com for Google Ads or using AI with e-commerce companies?
So e-commerce companies have already been tapping into those dynamics for a long time because, I mean, that's assuming, was it Robert who asked that question? Yeah, so Robert, that's assuming that you're already optimizing for return on ad spend or revenue, right? So what happens when you're an e-commerce company and you're optimizing for revenue is Google can see there's some people that are buying $15 products and some people that are filling baskets and spending $400 on an order, and some people are spending $4,000 on an order. So e-commerce automatically, as long as you're optimizing for revenue and not conversions, it will dynamically optimize for profitability if you set up your tracking correctly. So you don't need to worry about it too much on e-commerce. Just make sure you're optimizing for revenue or profits, not just new customers to acquire. So question for Robert, like, do you have some customers that are worth way more than other customers, or are they all kind of buying the same sort of widget?
Yeah, we're using ROAS. So, we have a target of like 900% as an example. And since it's e-com, it tries to get us as many orders and at a 9x return on ad spend as it can, or it won't spend as much. So it does. There's higher price ones and lower price products.
And I'm assuming your higher price products have lower margin than your lower price products?
Yes.
So one thing that you could do to sort of take it next level and feed more intelligent data signals on an e-commerce side, I just thought of this right now, so hopefully it's a good idea, is you could optimize for profit margin instead of revenue. And then you're giving more intelligent signals to say, optimize for people that are adding the most to my bottom line. So you could report, instead of reporting back revenue as the signal, you could report back margin. And then if you've got some clients that are giving you higher margin than other clients, then Google will say, what's the difference between these high margin people and the low margin people? That might be a slight refinement. But e-commerce in general, as long as you're optimizing for revenue, Google can already see, hey, some of these customers are giving me $15, some are giving me $5,000. And when it sees the data signals align with your whales, if assuming you have enough conversion data, it will bid up when it sees a high value client come through when you're optimizing for revenue. But you could slightly refine the data signals. Instead of reporting revenue, report margin. Because right now, Google doesn't understand the difference between a big deal with low margin. They'll just look at the high revenue number and optimize for revenue. There might be situations where actually your lower priced products with higher margin are more valuable to you. And if you just do it on revenue, it might be like pushing your low margin deals. So that's just one thing to consider, Robert. Yeah, I saw somebody else ask the question earlier about why do that separately in ChatGPT and then bring it over to Gemini? Can't you just do it all in Gemini? Absolutely. You can do it all in Gemini. I've just been born and raised on ChatGPT, and that's my go-to frontier model. And then I use Gemini for image and for video and for learning with, But yeah, I have specific use cases for specific models. But if you're a Gemini guy, like you can do it all within Gemini. You can set up your gems instead of your GPTs and do all the same thing directly within Gemini.
Hey, Mike, can you quickly just give a brief explanation on when you would use a custom GPT rather than just asking, Gemini or ChatGPT? Like, when should they be creating custom GPTs?
Yeah, so I use them the most for me personally. Like it's for strategy when I need like an expert in marketing. So you can use them. In general, when I coach people, like when do you create a custom GPT? Just ask AI, like I want you to analyze everything that I've been doing with you and tell me what sorts of GPTs that I could create for myself would be useful based on the way that I'm using ChatGPT. Look at all my history with you, and it'll come back and say, hey, you're doing a lot of this with me, and if you created a GPT here, it would be faster. So the core basis of GPTs is looking for repetition and avoiding the need to have to prompt every time, right? So if you're doing the same thing over and over, like take this transcript and put it into my brand voice and summarize it this way and make it look like this, like, and you post that like 5 times a week. Well, if you turn that into a GPT, you can store and save that prompt, and then you just come along and paste your transcription, hit go, and you don't have to use the prompt. So that's the core basis of having these GPTs, is you can customize them, you can store your prompts in them, you can add peripheral supporting data, and it just makes your workflow a lot more efficient. But when we're looking at this from like a marketing optimization standpoint, which is like the theme of this meeting here, I look at it as more like building strategists within my agency or strategists within your company, right? So I'll give you an example of a recent one that we built. So within our agency, which we still have an old marketing agency beside our AI agency, we have a CRO team, or conversion rate optimization team. And they used to send over like the final check before I would go to a client, is they would post it in a Slack channel and say, hey guys, give us our feedback. Do you like this new landing page we created for this client? Any feedback? And what I would always do, whether it was CRO strategy or Google Ads strategy, first I would just use all my years of experience and visually look through it and give my feedback and say, hey, I think these things should change. Then very quickly, I would take everything that I know in my brain, plus additional research. I would create a custom GPT, call it my CRO strategist agent. And its job is to review work that comes from the team when they ask me my final opinion before it goes to the client. And I just take a screenshot of the page, paste in the URL, and it analyzes it all. And it sounds like me, and it gives my final bit of feedback. That's where I create those GPTs for. But then I realized, I'm like, why do they even need to send it to me? Once I've kind of cloned my knowledge of analysis, then I would just create that GPT, share it with the team. And now we have this CRO expert agent that the team collectively adds knowledge to. It gets smarter and smarter. And nothing, instead of nothing going past me before it goes to a client, now nothing goes past the CRO strategist agent before it goes to the client. And so I repeat this with all aspects of marketing. You know, we've got Google Ads strategist agent. So before we would present the Google Ads strategy to the client, we run it past the agent. And I can just give you a visual illustration of what one of these little GPTs or agents look like. It's not rocket science at all. But if you haven't been creating GPTs, this will be a huge step forward. So this is the CRO strategist GPT. I'll give you an example of the prompt that we use. So you are the MyZone AI CRO analyst. You evaluate landing pages and websites to improve lead generation and form submissions. You think and communicate like a senior CRO strategist, internal coach, and educator. Your tone is supportive, blah, 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 blah. These are your outputs. Before we can do analysis, this is the required information that you will ask for the person. I need the URL of the page we're analyzing, a full screenshot. We need to know what sort of traffic and keywords you're optimizing for. We need to know the core audience that you're optimizing the page for, who your ideal customer profile is, etc. So it will ask you questions, and then it will come along and give you scores across all of these different pillars, like audience intent, messaging and copy, design and layout. Now, how did I build all of this? I went to ChatGPT and I just said, I want you to act as a prompt engineer and help me come up with a beautiful prompt that I can add to custom instructions to create a custom GPT. So your job is to stay in that role, and I want you to interview me, get as much information as you need to help accomplish this objective. We're going to be building a custom CRO GPT. This will be a conversion rate optimization GPT, and what we'll be using you for is whenever I produce a new website or landing page for my business or for a client. I want to be giving you screenshots and URLs. You will analyze that. You will follow conversion rate optimization best practices. You will ask all the questions you need to collect the information that you need to do your job. And you will, the final output will be a list of like the top 10 recommendations of things that we could do to improve the conversion rates of that page. I'm giving you just random context right now, but the fact that you are going to ask me questions to fill in any context gaps will solve that problem. So please proceed asking me 3 questions at a time until you have all the information that you need to accomplish this objective. Something like that. Always talking, never typing. And I just blabber in there and I'll go back and forth, back and forth. It'll keep asking me questions about what to do. At the end of this, I will have a long, detailed prompt that I will take back into my custom GPT and I'll paste it into the instructions section. That's how this prompt was built. Just giving it as much context. It went out there and it checked the web for conversion rate optimization best practices. And we also add additional context. So this GPT is like, we have our internal best practices that came from my brain and from our CRO team. And so we include like the MyZone's top 50 conversion rate optimization factors, and we even put it in a weighted table just to say how important they were. So this was our internal IP that we added, and it takes all of these files and this prompt into consideration. Then I can just come along and say, analyze cowfantasticfence.com. Here's the URL. I have to hit command minus to shrink the site so I can fit it into a couple of screenshots. And then I would just paste that into here and it will come back and it will replace the need for me to hire an expert CRO analyst. So that's an example of the expert that we've created for CRO and how we do it. It's a lot there. I mean, Jeanette has created some incredible educational materials around how to create custom GPTs, but I recommend that for almost every role, you have a separate GPT. Like, I'm your media buying strategist. I'm your ad creative expert that will help you create image ads or video ads. I'm the one that will help you optimize your landing pages. I'm the one that will analyze your SEO. Whatever those different pillars are of marketing that are important for you, you should have an expert GPT, or if you're in Gemini, a gem that is trained on helping you with those specific things.
Now you had a pretty strong opinion about talking to chat and not writing to chat. Why? I know it's faster, but...
Well, context is key. So in the Create framework, so if you haven't done our prompt engineering training, Jeanette, maybe you can include the prompt engineering homework in the follow-up email as well. But the first letter in our framework for prompt engineering, it's called the Create framework. C is for context, and that is the most important piece with prompting. You have to give it lots of context. Like, for example, if you had it analyze your landing page there, but you didn't tell it who your ideal customer profile was, or you didn't have it first spy to your website, or if you didn't give it enough information, it just speculates, right? So when you're talking, you can talk usually about 4 times faster than you type. So by nature, if you look at the context you're giving the engine when you just talk to it, blah, 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 this is what I need. If you were to try to do the same thing typing, you usually stop and give it about a quarter as much information before you get impatient and move on and say, just figure it out. So the talking part is huge. And then to fill in the gaps of any missing context, we always say, ask us questions 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3, whatever is most efficient for you, until you have all the context that you need to accomplish this objective. And so when you're answering questions, if it gives you a list of 3 questions, you can quickly answer them. So basically, it's just way, way faster. Context is the most important thing that you can give to an engine to help it understand. And if you're typing, you just simply won't give it enough context.
Well, to counter that for a bit, if I type it, I'm thinking more clearly about writing what I want. And if I speak, I tend to forget a couple of things. Now, you may offset that with giving enough sufficient information. At the end of the day, I notice that when I'm typing, I'm more precise than talking. But that may be me.
It doesn't matter though. Like AI is trained, like it's a language model. Like it knows, like if you guys see my screen right here, first of all, when I'm using a tool like Whisper Flow, it's clearing up. Like this is an example of how Whisper Flow can clean up your what you're saying and make it more clear. So first of all, there's that first layer of AI that cleans up that. That's Whisper Flow. It took out all the ums and ahs and repetition. That's the first thing. But it really doesn't matter if you like go on and ramble about something and change your mind and then go back and talk about something else and you have a run-on sentence. It doesn't matter. AI can process it. It can handle it. It understands that. And if you ever want to do a test, just try having a very convoluted conversation where you start and stop and switch topics and actually, you know what, forget all that and go back and do something else. And at the end, have it provide a concise summary of its understanding of what you're talking about and what your needs are. And you read it, you'd be like, 99% of the time, you're like, that's exactly what I wanted. How the heck did it figure out that blop? So I've tested that. It does not need the precision of typing. You do not need to fix your typos. You do not need to apologize for changing your mind. You can have asides, like you just go off on a tangent and come back and say, ignore that. And it figures it all out. So it just let it rip. Don't a lot of people don't use voice because of like when I speak, I sometimes talk in circles and I'm not clear. It doesn't matter. Just blabber it out there, and AI thrives with just tons of random, unstructured content.
So basically what you're saying is don't develop a personal relationship with the chat. Just fill it with information and let it figure it out itself.
Just dump on it. Just dump on it. And if you are concerned, just ask it to summarize everything that you just said concisely, read it, make sure it's clear that you didn't confuse it. But I don't even check that anymore because I can literally just hammer it, pile just word vomit, and it always figures out intention perfectly for me. I think more is the key, not precision. Just like don't fix your typos. If you're hitting if you're typing and you're like correcting your typos with AI, you haven't understood how AI works. You can mash on the keys and it'll still figure it out.
Point taken.
Yeah.
During the first part of this masterclass, you were talking about the new era of lead magnets, and you were working on a project. So my question to you is, what is the current situation, current status?
Yeah, and so those of you that were on the last workshop, I know a lot of you are just receiving this via recording. We mentioned this as this sort of new big win. I'm just trying to pull up the example here. It's a fellow EO member. I asked her last night on Slack if I had permission to share. I'm going to assume it's okay. Where is my message with Norma? Oh, she hasn't responded. Norma, I'm going to trust this is okay to share. I'm 99% sure. She was pretty excited about this. So I'm going to give you an example of what we did. So last workshop, we mentioned a bit about this. So in the past, we would call these lead magnets. And now with AI, you can create like way different and way better and way more powerful lead magnets very, very quickly. So for Norma, actually, maybe Jeanette, you can help me pull this one up. I'm trying to find the URL for the, oh, here it is. I found it. Oh, it's actually live. It went live on her website today. Okay. This is an example of an AI-powered quick lead magnet. We built this one on the call with Norma. She was shocked. She's like, what is this going to cost? I'm like, well, it's kind of done on our discovery call. That's how fast it was to build it. So so Norma is an EO member, and she values real estate brokerages, and then she does mergers and acquisitions. Now, in her industry, in the past, she used to charge a lot of money for just the valuation piece. And then a competitor came along and did it for super cheap. And then we're like, can we do this for free with AI as lead gen? Because there was so much more value that she got from the relationship after she had provided the valuation from the actual merger side of things. And so this is the new approach is one, you can, first of all, this was all done in Nano Banana. We just took her picture and asked it to make her look like AI. We went through 10 variants in 10 minutes and quickly chose an image. We did not involve graphic design. This was, you know, what I talked about earlier with Nano Banana. That's what that was. Then we had AI interview her, upload all of her valuation metrics into a custom chatbot. And just the same thing that you saw when I was building that CRO GPT, we did that with a separate standalone chatbot, interviewed her, got all of the math out of her head. So now somebody can come along and say, I want to get an instant free AI valuation from Norma AI. Sure. And you just click, let's get started, and it will interview you, ask you questions. And at the end, it gives you a detailed financial report. We put a little step in there that you have to enter in your name and email before you get the report, and then she can follow up with you and book a meeting. So this little AI agent here just went live. And oh, what's going on in the background? Oh, I think it's dynamic. That the image changes based on mouse over. So, you know, so you can go through. My name is Mike Schwarz, and it will have this back and forth conversation. There's roughly 20 or so questions. My Zone Real Estate Brokerage. And at the end of it, it has enough information. She saw it. It did the math of like, it looks at the number of reps in the market, and it analyzes your market and the average cost of homes and things like that. And it says, oh, your brokerage is worth 1.8 to 2.1 million dollar valuation based on these three different things. And but yeah, so she's used AI to clone what she used to sell, now provide it for free, and do it at high volume for lead generation. And she's the first person in the industry that's offering these for free through AI that I've seen anyways. And so the idea is we can go up into Meta. Oh, there is Norma. She's on the call. Hopefully I'm not getting fired by Norma after this one. But I think it's all about sort of rethinking your model to some of the things that you used to do for paid, now you can do for free with AI. Cast the net wider and think very differently about your business model. Norma, did I summarize that correctly? Anything else you want to add? Okay.
I'm also kind of curious, question to Norma, did it already convert?
Oh, I think it just went live today.
Yeah, okay.
And hey, Mike, well, just one more question from Jan. He says, amazing stuff. He's like, what app was created and how is this embedded in the website?
Yeah, so again, a lot of 90% of this audience is EO, and I don't want to be soliciting here. Sorry, you got to mute all.
I'm gonna take you guys.
To unmute myself. So we've built our own custom chatbot platform. I'll start. Our competitors would be like U.com or Get Cody. They do the same thing, but what we've built internally is it's called a custom chatbot. It's similar to a custom GPT, but it runs independently from Gemini or ChatGPT. It sits in the middle. So this technical term for the tool we built, it's called a RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generative Platform. It's a custom chatbot, and it's very similar to a custom GPT, except it sits outside of the model. And anybody can build these. If you're building one from scratch with a developer, you're probably looking at 5 to 15K of labor cost, and you can build one in-house. And it will have a place to store the data externally. We call it like a vector database. It will store your prompt. It'll do some manipulation, and it sits on top of the language model. These are custom chatbots. So like ours, if you go to, it's just myzone.ai/chatbots, but this is not rocket science, and there's tons of competitors. If you wanted to see it, it's called who are the top providers of custom chatbots, or RAG systems, RAG. If you put that into, I don't use Google, I haven't done that in years. If you put that into AI and just ask it, you can see who the top RAG providers are in the world. And one of the bigger ones, I believe, is U.com. So they might have actually changed, or our biggest competitor also, SiteGPT.ai.
Many options.
Yeah, there's hundreds of options. Yeah.
The good thing is you can create these magnets basically for free, although 15K is still a lot of money. On the other hand, it's the easiest way to acquire new customers, I guess.
15K, no, to build this one, I think Norma, we pretty much completed 90% of it on the call. It's $49 a month. So, I mean, you can build an agent like that for sub $1,000.
So
The
budget should
15K is if you want to build the whole platform that the business is running on top of.
Got
So
you.
yeah, no, it was very, very cheap. You could build a chatbot like that. If you already have all your training data, say there's something that you're selling as a professional that's already in your head, like Chad, you do coaching for construction clients. Like theoretically, you could take all of your coaching knowledge, dump it into sort of this RAG architecture, and spin up a chatbot in 10 minutes if you have all the training data already there, all your coaching advice. So if you're a coach and you're selling your brain, you can, and you have that documented, you can clone yourself in minutes for, like $50 a month. It's not a $15,000 investment.
Hey, Mike,
So-
Chad has a question here. Sorry, have you seen conversational like voice work better or worse than chat based?
I've seen for a while there, it was actually outperforming text. We would do tests of voice versus text, and voice would outperform. I haven't tested that recently. I think that's sort of normalized. But for a while, there was speculation that it would outperform because a lot of, I don't know why it was outperforming. There was a reason behind it, but I haven't tested recently. But when I heard this like a year or so ago, it was actually that voice-based prompting was outperforming text-based prompting. And it wasn't just from the amount of context. It was also that AI just somehow preferred it. Maybe it was trained more on voice transcripts from YouTube chats or something. But I would do a little test. Try a prompt where you type it all out formally and perfectly and fix all your typos and make it clear, and then hit submit, and try one where you just ramble and then look at the outputs. I think what's most important is that you follow a framework like Jeanette. You guys have probably seen the Create framework that Jeanette has been sending out in the homework. If you're following those steps, that is the key. I don't think it's how you do it, whether text or voice. I think it's, did you give it context? Did you assign a role? Did you give examples? Are you clear on the output? And really important, did you say, ask me questions 2 by 2 until you have all the context that you need to accomplish the objective? If you're doing that, I don't think it matters whether it's voice or text or typing.
Hey,
Or
hey,
video.
Chad, can you actually share, Chad, your last comment?
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of talking to AI and stuff like that, but I don't like listening to it. I figure that you can speak 3 or 4 times faster than you can type, but it's the same the other way around. Like, I can read its response much faster than I can listen to its response. So that's one of the things we found was in conversational. So we target a market of people that are driving in the truck. So ideally they should not be reading it, but who knows? So that was the only thing I felt like we engaged with on a website, and I feel like it's too slow for me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I when I'm using it, I'm talking to it, but I'm reading. That's the fastest way. You're exactly right. So, and I don't use this dictate button here. This is too slow. Like if you talk for a minute, it'll take 5 to 10 seconds to process, and then you hit and you have to wait and you have to wait and you lose all those seconds. And if I just use whisper flow, I could talk for a full minute and it will insert the text like click in like less than a second. So that part is really fast. And I always read the response. The only time I use advanced voice mode and talk to it and have it talk back to me is when I'm driving and I'm bored. And I can't look down, so.
Like, what about video chatbots? Because I tend to like them and they're quite easy to create. I don't know if you have any experience with that.
No, I haven't. Let's come back to that one in just a second. I just wanted to wrap up the big lead magnet idea there, like you saw with Norma. Here's a even more advanced one. Now, this one we spent roughly 15K building, but this is an example of something that used to be paid that we're now offering for free, and we haven't launched this to the world yet. This is on a public URL if you want to see it. The final output isn't done yet, but this is to get a custom home budget properly calculated has never been done before for free. And so here the idea is same kind of idea as Norma, except oh, why is it asking for a code before? Oh, because it maybe the cost of this one is significant. They want to make sure that you're in the right geographic region before we go spend 20 cents on tokens. I got the code here. Now this one's pretty cool. I really like this one. The final output again is not yet done, but it will allow you to, the agent will ask you, it's a 10 to 20 minute interview. And at the end, you get like this super detailed breakdown of what your home will cost. You know, I want like, this is going to be a vacation home. My budget is, I don't know, 1.2 to 1.4. I already own the land. You know, you just go through all of these questions and choosing images and what have you. And then the final output is a detailed breakdown. Oh, I can upload my plans. And anyway, you get to the end. It's same kind of idea is that normally you would have to pay somebody to spend hours with you, collect all this information and give you a detailed price breakdown. This generates that, where we took all of the IP that was in the company's head, just like we did from Norma, put it into the agent, collect additional information from the customer and give them some sort of output that wows them. And then you can go out onto social media and do things like Norma can reach out to real estate brokers across North America and say, want a quick free valuation of your brokerage? Talk to Norma AI. And they'll be like, huh? Free? Cool. I thought these things cost money. I'm curious. And now you can use those as a lead generation funnel. And there's so many of these opportunities.
I see someone behind the window. He's basically cheering. He's in the lighting business. So the question from him is, can I also upload my lighting designs and do a calculation?
Out of the box? Probably.
Out of the box.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, like if you, that one might be challenging because it depends on all the different, I mean, you said like upload a blueprint and be able to determine what the lighting cost would be just based on a blueprint?
For instance?
Yeah, it should be able to.
Okay.
I
Maybe
think
it's a bit off topic.
it might require some custom training to be able to recognize what the different lights and fixtures are, and you'll have to customize that one. It can absolutely be done with AI, but it might not be like we can do that in 30 minutes on a phone call with, you know, like, but yeah, AI can do it, but it might be 10,000, not, 500.
I see a project in becoming.
Hey, Mike, I got a quick question from Jacob. Is there an AI transcription service like Whisper that is Android, Windows compatible?
Yeah, WhisperFlow. Well, that's why we went to WhisperFlow. So we used to be on Super Whisper, but they were only Mac. They just recently released their Windows model, Super Whisper, but we had already migrated everybody to WhisperFlow because they were Mac friendly. Windows friendly. So actually, you know what? I think WhisperFlow, the problem with that one is it works on Windows or Mac, but it only works on iOS and not Android. So Android's getting screwed there with WhisperFlow. But Super Whisper, I just got a notification last week that they're now available on Android. So yeah, check out Super Whisper. This is such a hack. I know it's not it affects everything, but superwhisper.com. Yeah, Windows and Mac. That one's awesome. I used that for about a year before I moved over to WhisperFlow AI. And they've got Mac OS. It's available for Mac, Windows, and iPhone, not Android. But I mean, if you're on Android, you should probably get off Android, right?
Anyway, are there any questions left? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. Mike, thanks for sharing your experience.
I want to finish one little general theme that we're seeing in marketing to wrap this all up is that we're seeing the division between roles within marketing are rapidly blurring. People are moving from specialist roles to generalist roles. And people are moving away from agency to in-house. Right? Those are some trends. And the reason they're moving in-house is, one, you can work to automate a lot of former marketing things like creating a newsletter or making social posts or spinning up ad copy or even just getting advice on what to do to how to improve conversion rates of a landing page. Most of that stuff can now be done with AI. So people are investing in AI automations. They're investing in creating their little agents or GPTs, and they're able to take intermediate resources in-house and elevate them. And these roles are widening right now. So for example, our designer, Mario, in the past, when he was working on a landing page, he would have to go to our content team, who would go to a copywriter, and then it would get approved by our content strategist. And it would take days to finalize the copy. Now, like when I'm giving him a brief, I'm blabbering into a microphone and he's creating the first version of the copy himself using an agent, and he doesn't even touch the content department. So the designer is now the copywriter supported by the agent. That's just one example, and that's happening everywhere where the roles are blurring and the responsibilities are widening out. So make sure you're doing that, and that's all supported by AI. I think marketing agencies are going to really get hammered over the next couple of years. We're feeling it. Like our marketing agency revenue is dropping while our AI revenue is dropping. If you're not making that same change internally, like you should be spending less on marketing and more on automation. If you're not, that's a huge opportunity for you.
So
Hey,
it's
Mike, Chad had a question for you too as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Chad.
I can hold it, but the new Google Workspace Studio and stuff like that, I mean, have you guys played with that? Like, does it replace N8N and Zapier, stuff like that?
Not yet. So Workplace Studio, Google has a bunch of workflow automation tools that they've been bringing to market. And every time I watch the latest video or read the press release, I go back to my team who's doing all these automations. I'm like, are we moving to Google yet? And I even asked them again last night, and they're like, they keep testing it, and N8N is still crushing Google. It's just not there yet. I think for like users to play around with and learn how to start to build these agents or these automated workflows, sure. But like it's still the juniors, and N8N is like big leagues.
I have the same experience.
Yeah. But it won't be long. I mean, give it 3 months. You got to keep an eye on these things. I keep checking. I'm like, are we all ready to switch to Gemini yet? Can we please? Like, can we have one platform that'll just do all, so don't have to support all these different tools? I mean, it's not good from a monopoly standpoint, but it sure will simplify the set of tools that agencies like ours have to use. So I'm kind of looking forward to a consolidated set of tools. Maybe we'll see if Google doesn't get blown up by Congress.
One conclusion we can have here is use these tools to augment your staff and to improve and accelerate your marketing. And you can automate it on a level that we've never experienced before.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway.
I used to be the guy reviewing every strategy. I took what's in my brain, I put it into a GPT, I gave the GPT to my team, and now they don't even need me anymore. And so they're doing their own strategy, they're doing their own copy, and you still want to have the expert doing the final check and review because it will occasionally make mistakes. But yeah, the roles of marketing are rapidly changing. I would hate to be a marketing agency right now that is just doing traditional digital marketing. I would guess that industry as a whole is already down 20% in revenue in the last 12 months, and that will continue to erode because entrepreneurs are realizing I can bring a lot of these things in-house. So the roles of agencies are changing. They're moving more towards these automations and less towards like, oh, I'll write this newsletter for you, or I'll create this ad for you. I'm going to teach you how to do these things in-house. That's the trend that I'm seeing with small business. Yeah.
So wrap it up?
Yeah.
I just have one more question while I have
One
everyone
more?
on here. One more. While we
Come
have
on.
some people on here.
Dude.
I'm sorry. But I'm just curious from like the group, is there any other topics that, you would like Mike and Robert to kind of hit just for future workshops or anything like that?
Oh, yeah.
I would love to have a little brainstorming session.
We forgot to even tell them that we've got two. And Robert, I saw your message this morning. I didn't get a chance to reply it. I already have this AI for strategy. That one was already booked for January 7th. And there's going to be a 15-minute psilocybin component right at the beginning of that. It's all about thinking outside of the box. January 7th, that's posted in the AIEO channel, and we'll include the link in the email that goes out. Then we've got December 18th is the AI for songwriting, which it's going to
Very
be
important.
1 hour. And if you want to get incredible brownie points with your spouse or loved ones, it'll be a fun one, and it'll help refine your prompting skills at the same time. So those are the next two we have. One for songwriting, which is about prompt refinement and awesome Christmas gifting. And then January 7th about how to use AI to really set solid AI strategy for 2026. That's what's coming up. But back to Jeanette's question, if you guys have any other topics you want to hit, like the reason I'm doing the songwriting one is because I had 20 people ask me questions about a post I made, and I'm like, okay, so it's really crowdsourced. I love sharing this stuff. AI for novel writing.
Ooh,
Might have to bring in an expert for that.
I may know
can't.
an expert.
Awesome. Well, great
And
to
AI for
see.
storytelling.
Great to see so many familiar faces. Thank you all for this opportunity. This is I absolutely love talking about AI. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to share what I do 12 hours a day for fun.
It's like a hobby.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Anyway, let's wrap it up. And if you have a suggestion, drop us an email or put it in the chat. And otherwise, we see each other in January or with the songwriting, because I look forward to that. Thank you all. And for now, thanks for
Hopefully
watching.
see some of you on December 18th, 8 a.m. PST. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day.